Netflix dropped the trailer for the 7th season of Black Mirror, and I lit up with excitement. So to celebrate the 7th season of Black Mirror, I'm going to go over my top 4 Black Mirror episodes. Hey, I'm Mike. I studied film, I work in TV, and I love movies. Black Mirror is the brainchild of Charlie Brooker, a British writer, television presenter, and satirist. It shares a lot of traits with the American series The Twilight Zone. Each episode is a standalone story. Each story takes place in a world that resembles ours, with one minor tweak or change that propels the story into motion. That'll make more sense in a minute. The most prevalent theme in Black Mirror is that technology will ultimately be our undoing. Sure, it's glossy and makes life easier initially, but in many, if not all, Black Mirror episodes, the dark underbelly of the tech du jour is ultimately what does the characters in. Because the seasons aren't telling one long story, the episode count is seemingly random. Seasons 1 and 2, produced for ITV in the UK, have only 3 episodes. Then there's a longer special, which was released after. Seasons 3 and 4, produced for Netflix, have 6 episodes each, and then another special, the interactive film Bandersnatch, which we'll talk about in a minute, spoiler alert. For season 5, they returned to 3 episodes, and for season 6, they produced 5 episodes. I'm mentioning this for a very specific reason. As you may or may not know, I am a massive fan of The Smiths. They're an indie rock band from Manchester in the 80s, headed up by the one and only Morrissey. That's actually his shirt on my wall behind me. The Smiths would release songs as singles and then package them up as albums later. I think I like Black Mirror because it reminds me of how the Smiths created music. 1 or 2 songs at a time, releasing them when they were ready as singles and B-sides. Arguably, the Smiths' finest work is contained in their compilation albums, Hatful of Hollow, Louder Than Bombs, and The World Won't Listen. In fact, there's a Black Mirror episode titled Hang the DJ, which is a reference to a line in a Smiths song, Panic. The episode's about a dating app that reliably predicts your soulmate and what happens when the participants rebel against the choices they're given. Panic, the song, is about not wanting to hear what the DJ is forcing them to listen to. Furthermore, Girlfriend in a Coma, another Smith song, is used to cheeky effect in an episode titled San Junipero, which presents a world where the characters live in a simulated reality while their bodies are comfortably comatose in their retirement home beds. Okay, enough about the Smiths and my Anglophilia. On to my 4 favorite Black Mirror episodes. Coming in at number 4, Bandersnatch. As I mentioned earlier, Bandersnatch was released as a special Black Mirror episode and wasn't part of a formal season. It is an interactive film that allows viewers to decide which narrative they'll see. It uses the Netflix platform to give viewers a choice as to what the character should do next. For those that remember, it's a choose-your-own-adventure book come to life, and it wouldn't have made this list if all we were doing was choosing which hallway to go down. The decision process fundamentally changes the story and, at times, gives us additional backstory into the characters. You can choose, for example, for the character to take hallucinogenics, or to go to therapy. Netflix has said there are 5 different endings with different variations of the story. It's an incredible feat of filmmaking, and it absolutely must be watched. Again and again and again. My number 3 Black Mirror episode is titled The Entire History of You. With the implantation of a device called a grain behind their ear, people can replay their memories through their own eyes for themselves or on a screen to play for others. For example, the episode opens where the main character Liam is on a job interview, and by all accounts it goes well. But on his way home, he replays the memory and notices an odd smirk from his interviewer, giving him pause as to how good it actually went. Later, while entertaining some friends at home, someone plays a memory for the group, and Liam notices something and becomes suspicious of his wife and suspects she's having an affair with one of their friends. Ultimately, he goes mad, watching and rewatching his memories of his wife and this friend, trying to decide if something happened between them or not. It's a brilliant premise and takes what on its surface seems like a good and useful technology and reveals its dark side to us. It also speaks to our ability to whitewash our memories and only remember the good, or to constantly harp on the bad. Number 2, Be Right Back. After the death of her husband, Ash, Martha falls into a deep depression. She finds comfort in a service that will text her as her late husband. It aggregates his social media presence to create an AI-generated voice, and Martha becomes reliant on the occasional texts and then hearing his AI-generated voice in a voicemail. But like any for-profit endeavor, there's a more expensive upsell should she opt for it. The company sends a lifelike robot complete with Ash's personality, as generated by what AI knows about Ash from his social media. As if you couldn't see where this is headed already, things begin to go wrong when Martha realizes that Ash's social media presence isn't an accurate presentation of the complex person he was in real life. And she's faced with a conundrum though. Does she keep the robot that reminds her so much of her husband, or does she destroy him and her connection to Ash? And my number one Black Mirror episode? Joan is awful. The first episode of season 6 introduces us to Joan, who discovers that the events of her day are being dramatized in near real time on a nightly television program on the very fictional streaming service Streamberry. She watches in horror as the events of her day are played out by a CGI-generated version of Salma Hayek playing her. Apparently, in the terms and conditions she agreed to when she signed up for Streamberry, it allows them to monitor her daily activities and generate content based on what it collects. Salma Hayek, playing herself in this episode, is an oblivious participant. She sold the rights to her image for Streamberry to use. But Joan gets the idea that if she can get Hayek's attention, maybe she'll have more influence with the network, and together they could stop this. In order to get Hayek's attention, though, Joan resorts to defecating in a church while dressed as a cheerleader. It's amazing, but the larger point here is that are any of us aware what we're agreeing to in these terms and conditions? This episode came out in June of 2023, just as the Writers and Actors Guilds were striking over AI-generated content. It shone a very bright spotlight on what is possible with AI and showed us all the very real dangers of AI-generated content. I have had many conversations with my friends in the entertainment business, and we all agree that the tech is very, very close to making Joan is Awful a reality. A very scary reality. Anyway, there you have it, my top 4 Black Mirror episodes, but to be honest, they're all very, very good. I'd like to hear your favorite episode in the comments below. The new season of Black Mirror premieres on Netflix on Thursday, April 10th, and just to put it out there, Netflix has not sponsored this content whatsoever. These are my opinions. Remember, film is about community. I'm Mike, and I love movies.